Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Avengers issue 39. And this was a nice issue detailing the backstory of 1 million BC Phoenix. And it's kind of similar to Jean Grey's kind of thing, but not like vastly similar. I mean, she's in the caveman era, but we see that these things kind of repeat themselves. And we learned that, of course, she was born different with red hair and everything and was left in this burnt place. And they're pretty much buzzards and everything, pretty much getting everywhere. She doesn't even remember her parents and all that. And then these wolves come and pretty much like throw the buzzards off, and you think that the wolves are going to eat her, but they instead kind of raise her. She, of course, just being a kind of pack person in the whole wolf pack and all that, kind of just going around doing things. And then she would every so often go to the burnt place because that's pretty much where they would leave the weird kind of kids. And she of course knew she wasn't a wolf and was going there, and she found this like Cyclops baby, but then in comes this other kind of person, pretty much mutant, and he's pretty much like Charles Xavier, can levitate and speak with his mind and all that. She eventually calls him the High Walker, and she's at first scared of him, like, what are you doing speaking to me through my head and everything, thinking it kind of devilry, even talking about how she kind of fell into the same kind of fear. And of course that fear of the unknown is kind of a driving force of her story and the backstory of what we're getting at in here. And of course tying it to everything that we've seen with the mutants in the whole run of like Marvel Comics. And eventually she comes in, High Walker's like, yeah, okay, this is our tribe. And she's like, there's got to be a tribe of her own of all these different kind of people, and then the tribe without fear. All these different kind of people just milling about together. And she is not exhibiting any mutant powers at the moment, but of course it comes a night where she does, and she knows that without the High Walker and everything that she kind of learned from them, she probably would have went insane when her powers manifested, because we see a confluence of events of the other kind of tribes people of humans have been figuring out that, hey, these kids have been kind of disappearing, let's kind of see if they what's going on with these things, and then pretty much send an attack force. High Walker's trying to get his people out while trying to talk them down, even though they're not really talking the same language. And we do get to a point when this is going on that her powers do manifest, and she's able to talk to him telepathically, and she's able to feel all their fear and hatred and everything. And she's like, they're not going to stop hunting us. And then accidentally her powers kind of go off, and they're hurting them, and they're throwing stuff at High Walker to pretty much take his ass out. And he's like, no, don't do that, fire hair kind of stuff. And of course he's distracted enough that a spear gets through, takes him out. Of course she feels that he goes down, the rest of the tribe goes back, and they pretty much all kill each other. She goes back to the burnt place to, of course, submit to her fate of being like killed, because she feels horrible for what has happened. And she of course is thinking, hey, what's kind of going on, why is this the burnt place? And of course the Phoenix Force pops in and is like, hey, you're a pretty strong ass mutant, I kind of want to be your host, kind of shit. And of course she hosts up, starts kind of burning everything. She's almost to the cusp of burning the earth to cinders and saying that she'd be justified in that, but it's saved by the love of a wolf, because the wolves come back and like, hey, it's you, it's one of us. And she's like, yeah, I won't do this. So evidently they like roam around for a while, and then we see that they evidently get to Asgard. And I'm thinking, okay, I understand what you're trying to do with this and teach us more about like the Phoenix Force and everything like this, and I'm enjoying it, but it kind of feels like a retread of Jean Grey kind of stuff, even though she doesn't go complete Dark Phoenix and kind of has more of a symbiotic relationship with what's going on with the Phoenix Force. And that's like, okay, we've seen a little bit of her growing up, but I kind of would have wanted to see her deal with the Phoenix Force, deal with her powers at the same time. And it's like we skip this whole thing because we see Odin pretty much try to mess with Mjolnir. He's like, I shouldn't have put in the freaking Mother Storm in you. Asgard's being attacked, come on, you damn thing. And of course she pops in like, Odin, I'm putting a team together. Pretty much protect the earth for people like you and me. You in? As she's got all of her wolves around her and all that, and that's where the issue ends. So I like that we got a little bit of a dive into 1 million BC Phoenix. I just think that they picked the wrong kind of places to put the emphasis on, and there's like other parts where I'm like, oh, okay, this would have been cool. Honestly, this probably could have been an arc into itself of like really delving into her kind of stuff. The other ones for the million BC Avengers, I've been okay with because it's like, oh, okay, I get this. One issue sufficient for this. I think that this one could have been. I don't regularly advocate for being longer on stuff. Brevity usually kind of helps in certain scenarios, but I think that the brevity of what we got here was kind of too condensed because there's a lot of different stuff. I'm like, hey, we could have seen her like messing around with the Phoenix Force, messing around with her powers. See her kind of doing a little bit more kind of stuff around, so I still enjoyed this issue because I'm like, oh, okay, I like kind of seeing what they're kind of doing with the world in the million BC. Granted, it's very much heavily the same kind of stuff that we've seen with the X-Men and not much different, but they're trying to cover, I think, about too much ground without going too in-depth with it, so I don't know. I don't think it's, like, horrible. I would definitely recommend, like, reading this to just have more stuff with like the million BC Phoenix, but I mean, if you're like, I'm kind of wanting to see what's going on with the rest of the Avengers, this one wouldn't be one that you would sorely miss waiting for what's going on with the Phoenix Force now, because that's the next arc that they're dealing with everything going on with the Phoenix Force being back on Earth and everything. Who knows? This could have some kind of weird kind of relevance to that, so we'll see how that kind of shakes out. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.